Imagine waking up to a beautiful summer morning. The sun is shining, merchants are opening their shops, children are laughing in the streets, the smell of fresh bread fills the air. It seems like just another ordinary day. But before the sun sets, thousands of people will be dead. An entire city will disappear beneath mountains of volcanic ash, and for nearly 17 centuries, the world will forget it ever existed. This is the true story of Pompeii, the city that vanished in a single day. A prosperous city. In the year 79 AD, Pompeii was one of the wealthiest cities in the Roman Empire. Located near the sparkling Bay of Naples, it was home to around 20,000 people. Its streets were lined with elegant villas, colourful frescoes, lively markets, public baths, temples and theatres. Ships arrived daily, bringing exotic spices, silk, wine and precious goods from across the empire. Life in Pompeii was comfortable. Citizens enjoyed festivals, gladiator games, fine food and luxurious lifestyles. Towering above the city stood Mount Vesuvius. The mountain looked peaceful. Its green slopes were covered with vineyards and forests. Children played nearby. Farmers cultivated its fertile soil. No one considered it dangerous. Most people didn't even realize. It was a volcano, a forgotten warning 17 years earlier. In 62 AD, a massive earthquake struck Pompeii. Buildings collapsed, temples cracked apart, thousands fled into the streets. Although the city suffered enormous damage, the Romans rebuilt it. They believed earthquakes were simply part of life. No one connected the disaster to the silent mountain watching over them. For years, strange events continued. Small earthquakes became common. Animals behaved strangely. Wells began drying up. Underground rumbling echoed beneath the earth, yet people ignored every warning. Business continued, markets remained crowded, life went on, because no one could imagine what was coming. The morning of August 24th. On the morning of August 24th, 79 AD, the streets of Pompeii were alive as usual. Bakers prepared fresh loaves. Blacksmiths hammered glowing metal. Children chased one another through the narrow roads. Wealthy Romans relaxed inside luxurious gardens. Fishermen returned with the morning catch. Nothing seemed unusual, except the mountain. A thin column of smoke slowly began rising from the summit of Mount Vesuvius. Most people barely noticed. Others simply assumed it was another harmless fire in the forest. No one panicked. No one evacuated. No one knew that within hours, history would change forever. The first explosion came just after midday. Without warning, Mount Vesuvius erupted with unimaginable force. A deafening roar echoed across the Bay of Naples. The ground shook violently beneath the city's streets. People stopped what they were doing and looked toward the mountain. What they saw was unlike anything they had ever imagined. A gigantic column of ash, smoke and volcanic rock shot nearly 20 miles into the sky. It rose so high that Roman writer Pliny the Younger later described it as looking like a giant pine tree, its trunk stretching upward before its branches spread across the heavens. Within minutes, day began to turn into night. Fine ash drifted down over Pompeii like grey snow. At first, many people laughed. Some covered their heads with cloth and continued walking. Others watched in amazement, believing the eruption would soon end. They were terribly wrong. The ash grew thicker. Small stones began falling from the sky. Then larger rocks. Roofs echoed with constant impacts. People ran through the streets, shouting the names of their loved ones. Parents searched desperately for their children. Shopkeepers abandoned their businesses. The once peaceful city exploded into panic. Some citizens grabbed bags of coins and precious jewelry. Others carried only a blanket or a loaf of bread. Many believed they would return home in a few hours. They never would. As the afternoon passed, the ash became so heavy that breathing grew difficult. Every step through the streets felt like walking through a blizzard of hot dust. Visibility disappeared. The sun vanished behind thick black clouds. Even at midday, Pompeii was swallowed by darkness. The only light came from flashes of volcanic lightning dancing inside the massive ash cloud above. Thunder rolled across the sky. The mountains seemed alive. Entire families tried to flee toward the sea. Thousands crowded the city gates. The roads became blocked with wagons, horses, and terrified people pushing in every direction. Others stayed inside their homes, believing thick stone walls would protect them. Some gathered in temples, praying to the gods for mercy. No answer came, hour after hour. More ash continued to fall. By evening, some rooftops could no longer support the crushing weight. One after another, buildings began collapsing. Wooden beams snapped, walls crumbled, screams echoed through the streets. Those trapped beneath the ruins had little chance of escape. Still, the worst had not yet arrived. Far above the city, the towering eruption column had become unstable. Its enormous weight could no longer be supported, and when it finally collapsed, it unleashed something far deadlier than falling ash. A blazing avalanche of superheated gas and volcanic debris raced down the slopes of Mount Vesuvius at speeds faster than a racing car. Everything in its path was about to disappear. The first pyroclastic surge reached the nearby town of Herculaneum. In seconds, everything disappeared. The cloud was hotter than 500 degrees Celsius, 930 degrees Fahrenheit. It moved at over 100 kilometers per hour. There was nowhere to run, no place to hide. Anyone caught in its path died almost instantly. Hours later, the same deadly cloud rushed toward Pompeii. People who had survived the fall in ash finally faced the true horror. The scorching waves swept through the city with unstoppable force. The air became impossible to breathe. Ash and toxic gases filled every street, every home, every temple. Within moments, thousands of lives came to an end. Some people were found embracing their children. Others were discovered holding hands with loved ones. One man was found clutching a small bag of coins. Another still held the key to his front door. They had hoped to return. They never did. As the eruption continued, layer after layer of ash buried the city. Houses vanished, temples disappeared, entire streets were erased from the landscape. By the following morning, Pompeii no longer existed. More than 6 meters of volcanic ash covered the city. It was as if it had never been there. The Roman Empire eventually moved on. Survivors built new lives elsewhere. The location of Pompeii slowly faded from memory. Generation after generation passed. Maps no longer showed the city. Its name was almost forgotten. For nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii remained hidden beneath solid volcanic rock and ash. Then, in 1748, workers digging near Naples made an astonishing discovery. Beneath the earth, they uncovered walls, streets, paintings, homes, and even the bodies of the victims. Archaeologists carefully poured liquid plaster into the empty spaces left by decomposed bodies. When the hardened ash was removed, perfect casts appeared, frozen forever in their final moments. A mother protecting her child, a dog still chained outside a house, a man covering his face. These haunting figures gave the modern world an unforgettable glimpse into the last hours of Pompeii. Today, millions of people visit Pompeii every year. Walking through its streets feels like stepping back nearly 2,000 years. The city remains one of the best preserved archaeological sites on Earth, not because it escaped disaster, but because disaster preserved it. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius stands as one of history's deadliest natural catastrophes. A chilling reminder that nature can remain silent for centuries before changing the world in a single day. If you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next forgotten story may be even more unbelievable than this one.